Big projects are time-consuming and often stressful. Cleaning house is one of those ongoing battles. However, with a little organization, a house can stay clutter-free for longer. Professional organizer Charlotte Wood has seen about every kind of mess and says she's never found one that she couldn't remedy. Really?
That's true.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Well, how did you know, first of all, that organizing could be a career for you?
I didn't actually. I grew up as an Army brat, and one of the things my mom did before we moved every 3 years was to say, choose your favorites of our objects, because we had to make weight. So we had to reduce what we owned, and because she focused it positively, it was just a natural thing to do. So we would gather our favorite things together first, then we would sort what was left, and it made the moves so much easier.
Sure.
And I continued doing that.
Okay. And so since you were a kid then, you've been doing this.
Yes.
When you look at a mess, what's the first thing you discuss with your client?
We ask the client, what's wrong with this? What do you want to change? Because really it's about the client's perception and their goals. And if they talk about the situation, then I can understand what needs to be changed.
Okay. So once they do tell you that, what is the next step then?
We break it into 4 sections and just deal with it one section at a time, looking at each and every piece of paper, every object, and putting like items together.
Okay.
That's how it goes.
And we actually have a picture, and it's a before picture.
Okay.
And when we see a space that looks like this, you talked about putting it into sections, you know, and then the after, of course, looks much better. But how do you section it out like that to clean it up?
Well, in the before picture, you can see a child's student desk under the table. That was the first decision the client made, that that desk could be donated. And so we removed the desk, and there were boxes on top of the desk and inside, and we dealt with those first. Just one box at a time, each item, and she ended up recycling about 80% of the paper.
Oh, wow.
There was only about 15% of those items that were useful to her today.
Okay. Now, that are useful to her. Now, what about the things that aren't useful? What happens to all of that?
Well, with the paper, that was pretty simple. It was recycled. But she also is a crafter and had made cards, and we were able to box up and donate cards for our troops serving overseas.
Okay. How do you get past the hurdle of that, you know, that thing that people just don't want to throw away? I mean, do you have to counsel people into actually throwing some things away?
No, because usually the clients that call me, they're looking for change, and I won't argue with them about any of the objects. It's their stuff.
Yeah.
They know how they feel about it. I'm helping them decide what to do with the things that don't matter to them, to make more room for the things that do, for their treasures.
Sure. The treasures, right.
Yes.
And some things that maybe would seem like treasures, people might have to give away just to get a clutter-free area. Is it a stressful process?
It doesn't have to be. And if we do reach a point where the client feels uncomfortable, we just take a break and move on to something different, something that she doesn't have an emotional attachment to. Okay. Because we do have feelings attached to our possessions.
Sure. And we have another picture of the area that you helped declutter. And this looks pretty normal. I mean, if you saw my garage, it would look similar to something like that. But then I noticed you used a couple of things to organize. How important are those things to organize?
Well, the things come second. First, we want to reduce what's there. And once you've gone through the process of reducing the things that don't matter, it's easier to pick a container the right size and shape for the objects that you're keeping.
Okay. And it's one thing to have you come in, help get someone organized, but what about the long term? How do you make it work in the long term?
You pretty much just look at it the same way. You remove the items that don't belong. You routinely put things away in the places you've decided that they do belong. And if you have new items, you have to create homes for them. Okay. And you actually brought a couple of hangers on. Now, how important are hangers in organizing? Most people have wire hangers in their closets, and I have 2 alternatives. The first one is a wooden hanger. This is very useful for blazers or coats or any other heavy object. This one here has material on it that prevents cloth from slipping. It's really useful for spaghetti straps or any t-shirts.
Okay.
It will help the clothing items to hang properly and to not fall off onto the floor.
Right, which creates clutter.
Exactly.
All right, well, Charlotte, thanks so much for the tips and coming on. It's an interesting topic because I think pretty much everybody is disorganized. Thanks a lot for coming.